How will we know our students are learning? This is PLC question number 2. So we go back to this flow chart again, and we're looking at how will we respond when students don't learn? How will we know that they learn it? And that will be based on the frequent assessments, the formal assessments, the informal assessments that we have. This will guide us as we help to identify students who may fall. So that's us trying to figure out what those misconceptions might be and what it's going to look like for them to learn it. So we need to know exactly what it looks like when students show us that they know it, but also for us to think through what hurdles they may have to overcome in order to achieve it. And so this really goes to this first box in the flow chart, and how we know that they've learned it. Well, that's based on the oral responses, the written responses, the unit assessments, any of the district assessments, STAR test, any of those things that we're doing, anecdotal notes to gather information to determine where our students fall on the spectrum, and so how we know how to address that. So then once we've done that, we're going to place them in a specific pathway. And this is something that we're still putting together and working on as a district. It's a work in progress. We're building this airplane while in flight, but we have some initial plans in place. As stated in the definition, there will be a predetermined pathway that determines which students qualify for these interventions based on a screening that the district is currently working on creating one unified pathway. So this goes with that common language. Everybody in the district has the same pathway, and we're placing those students in that pathway based on the same determinations, the same vocabulary, and the same expectations. It's very specific to what types of interventions that we provide to our students. Okay, so I want you to just look at this definition of placement pathways. For this piece, we're just going to look and reflect. The definition says it's a predetermined pathway of instruction and intervention based on screening for all students. So I want you to kind of just sit. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes or a couple of seconds, to talk with your group or your grade level and identify those keywords in this definition and the questions that it addresses. Okay, thank you. Now we go to question 3 of our PLC questions. How will we respond when students don't learn? This is the placement pathway that we are currently looking at utilizing, and we will continue to refine throughout the process. Basically, right now, our focus for RTI this year is going to be on behavior and reading. That doesn't mean we're not going to provide interventions for other content areas, but right now we have to start small so that we can make sure that that common language is solidified throughout and we can carry it across and make the program as successful as it needs to be. So when we're looking at reading, the screening process that we're going to use is iStation. So based on iStation, we will look at where they fall within iStation, and that data will tell us whether or not they're Tier 3, Tier 2, or Tier 1. And so the tool that we're going to use is their ISIP overall reading score, any that correlation chart with where they're supposed to be within that time frame in their grade level, DRA data, and any formal diagnostic assessments. And we will have more information on that at a later date. And then this just tells you what we're looking at for Tier 2 and Tier 1. And then we'll go back down through here. Like I said, we're going to address this in more detail as we go along. We just wanted to see you guys to see what the framework looked like. But when we're looking at Tier 3 specifically, and if the student falls in Tier 3, and we've used all of this data to look at them, so then our criteria is going to be that their overall reading score is in Tier 3 and the results of the diagnostic assessment like I said, there will be more to come on that as we go through our upcoming RTI trainings. The focus is going to be a comprehensive reading program, because if a student is falling in Tier 3, they clearly have deficits across the board in many areas of reading. So here are all the focus skills that we're going to have for these Tier 3 students. And then how are we going to provide interventions? Well, like we said, Tier 1 interventions take place through differentiated instruction in the core daily. So this student, along with all the other students in your class, is going to be receiving daily differentiated instruction to support their needs. This is stuff that you'll collaborate with your instructional specialists and your teammates during planning meetings and data analysis meetings to try to figure out the best ways to provide that differentiated instruction for these students. In addition, the interventions that we will use would be the iStation program. And for these Tier 3 students, remember, they need to be on for 30 minutes 3 times a week. Then LLI, these students would most likely be in an LLI group or an SLI group for the Spanish version, and they will be receiving this intervention 30 minutes daily. And then some students may be receiving Esperanza or MTA, and this would be part of their daily lesson cycle. And then we verify their progress through monitoring tools, collecting that data and showing their progress throughout at iStation checkpoints, LLI progress measures, and any other tools that we're using. And then the method to verify effectiveness is high percentage of students making adequate progress in each support category. So that's just looking at Tier 3. We do the same process for Tier 2 and Tier 1. And this is the same thing that we look at when we address question 4, how we respond when students already know it. We use the exact same flow chart, and this would be our Tier 1 students. They show us that they already know it, and we will follow all of these frameworks as we go through. Like I said, more information on this will come at a later date. So who is responsible for the RTI system on your campus? I love this image, and I used this image earlier this year because it does speak to me. We don't want to be these people up here at the front of the boat who are just sitting pretty while the people are at the back of the boat emptying the water. We need to make sure that we are all working together as a team to pull our students through, and success for all. Remember, this is all student success. Every student needs to succeed. When we talk about all, it's every single one of them. And in order to have all students succeeding in this program, we all have to work together.